something reaching out from the past and going, let me transmit the awfulness of this thing to you. And yeah, now I'm done. You can sell me, or put me in a closet or something.
I think they burn it, don't they, in the story?
I think they do. Yeah. I would burn it. I would definitely burn it. Yeah. It's always stuff like that. It's always stuff like, oh, I found this wallpaper sample in a
yes
this old wallpaper sample in a book that I picked up at a sale, and my aunt decided that it was such a beautiful pattern she would have new wallpaper made, but the wallpaper was based on dead man's hair.
yeah. It's just like, yeah, that's a great idea. And fucking hell.
Yeah, and we just get this creepy fucking haunting, which really just goes down to every time I touch the wallpaper, it feels like hair. And it sort of feels more and more like hair. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get smothered by all this hair. Let's just get rid of the wallpaper, okay?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
all because somebody stole somebody's wig when they were dead. No, somebody stole somebody's hair and made it into a wig when they were dead.
Yes. It is just that kind of like this. It's a lot of it. Sometimes it is just that kind of chaos, kind of intruding. That without necessarily a great deal of rhyme and reason. I mean, I was thinking a little of some of Burridge's stories, which
A.M.
Burridge, yeah. I mean, very underrated, right? Quite different in many ways from James. But I mean, one thing, because he was a staunch Catholic,
right.
And it comes up in in a few of his stories where they will uncover, the remains of some victim, and it's like, well, there is nothing we can do because the person who caused this has already gone on to their punishment.
That's right.
Nobody can do anything for this child now. Just bury them decently, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of similar to the. It's sort of similar to the Met, well, similar but different to the Metzgertons in that respect. That's yes, you've got this information, but there's fuck all you can do about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess this is one of the big problems with being an antiquarian, is that you're always discovering stuff that's already happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know Robert Westall's collection, Antique Dust. It's one of his only collection of stuff for adult readers, but it's kind of like through the whole premise is it's telling the story through an antique dealer who, by the sheer nature of his job, comes into contact with all these potentially haunted items. There's a wonderful line where he says, "I've known more evil in a set of false teeth than in all the so-called haunted houses in England." But that's a very, very Jamesian collection in most respects. He acknowledged it. He actually dedicated the collection to the memory of M.R. James, that most economical of writers who could coax fear out of an old blanket.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And I don't know, maybe it has something to do with the fact that the stuff that we own and the stuff that we interact with takes on some of our personality.
Yeah.
I do believe that, if I was dead and people came to my condo and were looking around, they could certainly learn a lot about me from the things that I have. I was like, oh, she likes to read scary stories, and she's got this weird little house made of resin over here.
I am going to have one of those little bracelets that says, "Please delete my browser history."
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, did she paint all these creepy looking?
Yeah, she did.
Yes, she did. Yes. Why do you have a cup with stars inside of it? Well, but at the same time, yeah, there is this feeling that even that every action that you make, every choice implies a choice, and every choice that you make is either for or against the tide of how things should be. For or against, to some degree, I guess, the force of God. If you believe that, the world is, the physical world is like a manifestation of God, that God is not only made everything, but is in everything, then to some degree, any action that you decide upon, any choice that you make, any act you decide to do, is either cooperating with this world, or and building upon it, or not cooperating with it and destroying part of it.
It's almost like I remember a friend of mine talking about Taoism, the idea that the universe has a sort of an idea of a flow, a direction in which it goes. There's basically something. It has there's basically a direction you should be going in, and if you go along with that, you'll be fine, or you'll be better off anyway. But if you go against it, then that will cause problems for you, because you're kind of creating a conflict, and that conflict.
Yeah, and that there is this real sense of balance, and and a sense of justice and injustice. That if wrong is done, then justice should eventually, come to balance that out. And if injustice is practiced, then it invites.
Well, the nature of that justice can. I mean, like I say, in the warning to the curious, even though the guy tries to, Paxton tries to redress what he's done and replace the crown, it's still not enough to save him.
But he knows it's not enough. He knew it. Like the second that he indulged his obsession, and the second that he touched this object of veneration, this old Saxon crown, one of the three crowns of England that are supposed to stay where they are and to protect England from invasion, which is a fascinating idea.
I think entirely James's invention, sadly, as far as I can
tell. Well, I seem to recall that Ivar the Boneless supposedly died in England, and he caused himself to be buried upright in his barrow, wherever that was, looking towards the coast, so that if another army came to conquer England, which he considered to be his, he would erupt out of the earth and and do something about it. Although let's face it, the person who eventually came to conquer England after Ivar was one of his, descended from one of his relatives.
Yes, William the Bastard. William the Bastard.
This is a long conversation, and perhaps we should spare our listeners and break it right here. So having talked about James-ishness for quite some time, we thought that it would be smart to make a second episode in which we talk about Jamesians, both contemporaries of James, who admired him and were making some effort perhaps to write James-ishness into their own stuff. And more recent writers that in which we find patterns of Jamesianness. So there you are. What did you think? Let us know in the comments below.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please hit the like and share buttons, and you can find us on YouTube, Stitcher, Anchor, and SoundCloud.
And if you want to support the podcast, you can always make a one-off donation over at our Ko-fi page, or subscribe on our Patreon for access to exclusive content and get the heads up on what's coming next by finding us on Twitter or checking out our website at
nodarknessbutars.wixsite.com/podcast.
Okay. Second in the bag.
Okay, so I have been Simon Bestwick, and
I have been Gemma Files, and this has been No Darkness But Ours.